just kind of wanted to open it up the floor real quick. If anybody had any questions that you wanted to ask about any records or anything like that, be happy to.
Yeah.
Mike.
Drums.
Yeah.
Young Americans.
Yeah.
Any AC/DC thing, I guess, and stereo. So you were on a stereo, right?
Say what?
You say you worked on a stereo.
Hysteria, yes, I did.
How did?
Didn't cut the drums on hysteria because he lost his arm.
Oh yeah.
But that's another long story.
What do you think changed real quickly?
Yeah.
From there to there, because a lot did change.
From the days of doing it in the 70s to the days of doing it in the 90s, or
Big difference between Def Leppard and Young Americans, I'd say.
Yeah. Big difference there is that Young Americans being done in the 70s was the dead drum sounds. If you ever listen to that record, that's the first thing that probably hits you if you're listening to the drum track at all and not listening to the song as an overall song. You know, the drums are a reflection of the times, as well as the fact that in those days we'd record kick, snare, stereo drums because we had limited to 24 tracks, so you never put your drums on more than 4 tracks. You want to keep your kick.
Toms, room mics.
Toms, cymbals, hi-hat, whatever. Yeah, the whole kit, aside from snare and kick, were you mixed in stereo. So it was a little limiting, you know. I mean, and then when you get to hysteria, it was a lot more broken out. And I think by the time, you know, first of all, you're talking about Mutt Lange, and I don't believe any of the drums on hysteria are real.
I think it was a Linn drum.
I heard your samples.
Yeah.
I heard they overdubbed cymbals.
I mean, now the AC/DC record that I worked on, that was a real kit, as I said, done in a rehearsal studio in Paris. That was the real deal. That was the old school. And then I don't know where the turning point for Mutt was, but somewhere between that record and Def Leppard,
Drum machines, maybe, Dave? Is that about the
he
time
had
drum machines were
didn't he have a synclavier? I think he was big into synclaviers and.
Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure how they created drum tracks for stereo.
Well, you know, he was way into like pitch down snares and things like that. Because I remember even on For Those About to Rock, a trick that we used to use. There was a I forget the number, 910. There was the harmonizer that Eventide first came out with. Yeah. Was it the 910?
Well, 910. He did the plus and minus.
It had a feedback control. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so what we would do is I'd send the snare into the harmonizer. I'd pitch it down an octave, and then we would adjust the feedback. So it would go like that, right? And it was real. I mean, this is really old school Eventide, so it had all these weird glitches and everything. But you took that and you blended it in, and usually would have a snare that was like a Black Beauty or something like that in the first place. So it would be a very hefty snare, and then we'd blend in this pitched down thing, and it would be like, so, you know.
Snare track though that you're talking about, would this have been like part of a whole kit performance, or is this like we're doing the snare pass now?
Oh no! The drum kit. Now this is For Those About to Rock. That drum kit was recorded, you know, straight top to bottom, full, you know, everything, cymbals, snare, you know, toms, everything. And then in the mixing, we would take and do that trick. So we would have the snare, you know, pretty good sounding kit, but then he just loved, as you can listen back to a lot of Mutt's records, he loves those, like, I don't think I've ever heard a piccolo snare on a Mutt Lange record. The snare sounds like it's a floor tom with snares on it, you know, and the way he gets that is part of that. Now I think by the time that he moved into Def Leppard, because the quick story on Hysteria was done all the demos for Hysteria and was burnt out. He was in Ireland with the band for like a year working on those demos, and amazing because I had them there to refer to, because all the arrangements were worked out. And so it started with Neil Dorsman, as I had said, and Jim Steinman, and they went in and they tracked for about a month. But the way that they did it is they put down drum samples. They put down a drum machine and they used samples, and they were playing guitars and bass and singing to basically a drum machine. And the concept was that this is before Rick lost his arm. He lost his arm on that Christmas of whatever year that was, I don't remember. But I was making it in the fall of whatever year that was, and he would come in the control room and listen back to what we were doing and go, man, I can't wait to come in and play stuff. It was kind of an ass-backwards way to go. I mean, naturally, all of us go, well, why would you put the foundation of the record down last? And the way it was explained to me from them was that they wanted to play to something that was perfect metronomical time. You know, absolutely perfect time. And then Rick was going to come in and put the feel into it. Now, yeah, I know everybody should play to the drummer, but if everybody plays to something that's perfectly in time, and then the drummer plays to the same thing, on top of that, the phrasing and all the lyrics will already be down, and he would know exactly where he could place fills where they would really add to the production. So that was the concept. Unfortunately, we took a break just before Christmas of that year. Rick was in a car accident. His Corvette flipped over and he lost his arm. And the whole band absolutely refused to hire another drummer. They were like, whatever it takes, we're going to get Rick back in there to record drums on this record. And it was such an emotional thing for the whole band to go through that they gave them the time to listen back to everything they had done. And Mutt basically also had probably 6 months now to recuperate and get away from it. So when that next year came in, Mutt having done Hysteria, having done Pyromania, and being kind of a father figure to the band, I think they needed him back for emotional and psychological reasons. They needed to have someone in the control room that was like their dad because of what they had gone through as a band. And so he went in, and I think everything got pretty much scrapped. I have like a thank you on there after like 3 months of work, but it's all good.